Hello. Today, in a paper of literature and science, we would discuss H.G. Wells's time machine. Time travel could hypothetically involve moving forward or backward in time, moving backward in time to a moment earlier than the starting point, or forward to the future of that point without the need for the traveler to experience the intervening period. From time immemorial, people have shown inclination to experience time without getting stuck at time present. In Mahabharata, we know of a story of Kukudmi, who was a father of Revati. Kukudmi's daughter Revati was so beautiful and so accomplished that when she reached the marriageable age, Kukudmi, thinking that no one upon earth was worthy of her, went to the Creator himself, Lord Brahma, to seek his advice about a suitable husband for his daughter. When they arrived, Brahma was listening to a musical performance by the Gandharvas, so they waited patiently until the performance was finished. Then Kukudmi bowed humbly, made his request, and presented the list of the shortlisted candidates. Brahma laughed loudly and explained that time runs differently on different planes of existence, and that during the short time they had visited Brahmaloka to see him, 27 Chatur Yogas, a cycle of 4 yugas, totaling 108 yugas or ages of men, had passed on earth. King Kukudmi was overcome with astonishment and alarm at hearing this news. However, Brahma comforted him and told him that Vishnu, the preserver, was currently incarnate on earth in the forms of Krishna and Balaram, and he recommended Balaram as a worthy husband for Revati. Kukudmi and Revati then returned to earth, which they regarded as having left just only a short time ago. But they were shocked by the changes that had taken place. Not only had the landscape changed, the environment had changed, but over an intervening 27 Chatur Yogas in the cycle of human spiritual and cultural evolution, mankind was at a lower level of development than in their own time. The Bhagavad Purana describes that they found the race of man had become dwindled in stature, reduced in vigor, and enfeebled in intellect. In Buddhist scriptures, it is mentioned that in the heaven of 33 devas, time passes on a different pace and people live much longer. In the period of our century, over 100 years, only a single day, 24 hours would have passed for them. In the Quran, it is mentioned that one day of Allah is 1,000 years of what you count. In Japan, there's a story of Urushima Taro. He was a young fisherman and he visited the undersea place for 3 days. When he came back, he saw that he was 300 years in future. Washington Irving wrote a story of Rip Van Winkle, who took a nap on a mountain, and when he woke up, he found himself 20 years in future with all his relatives dead. Edward Page Mitchell wrote before H.G. Wells, The Clock That Went Backwards. Although all of this above fiction or imagination, scientists have always tried to brainstorm on the concept of time travel. Theory of general relativity suggests that specific motion in space might allow time travel into past and future. Scientists use the word closed time-like curves for this. The concept, also known as CTC, means material particle in space-time that is closed, returning to its starting time. Relativity predicts that if one were to move away from Earth at a relativist velocity and return, more time would have passed on Earth than for the traveler. Scientists are also divided in the opinion on backward time travel, as this defies the concept of causality. This is known as grandfather paradox, wherein a time traveler goes back in time when his grandfather had not married yet. He kills his grandfather, and therefore the time traveler is not born when he is meant to be. But the very fact that he killed his grandfather means that he was born, and thus a paradox is created. People also talk about wormholes after Carl Sagan wrote Contact. A wormhole is a tunnel with two ends, each at separate points in space-time. Although this, according to science, is highly unlikely with the current technology that we know. Time travel in science fiction opens the doors to many exciting stories and possibilities. It imagines traveling to the past to see events long gone, or to future to see the progress of humanity, perhaps to the past to relive a moment in our life, or in a future to see the outcome of a decision we make today. Now, after more than 100 years of science fiction, these possibilities have a basis in solid scientific fact. One important question when time traveling in science fiction is which way to go? Do we travel to future? It is simple and cannot affect the present. The time traveler is the point of view to describe the new world. In this type of story, the reader sees the future world through the eyes of a time traveler. Most modern science fiction is set in future. The Time Machine, written in 1895, is a story about a time traveler who has built an ingenious time machine. He arrives back from an adventure where he has visited distant future and comes back to tell his friends about it over a dinner at his house. The time traveler informs his friends that when he was on a visit to future, he saw peaceful and meek people called the Lois, who lived above ground, and a cruel but powerful people called the Morlocks, who lived underground. The Lois lived in the fear of Morlocks, who after dark roamed and killed Lois. Some critics believe that Wells focused his attention on the struggle between the working class and the elite and wanted to caution people that if the working class could rebel, it can be very tricky for the elite. It can also be interpreted as the struggle between the privileged race and the underprivileged race. He was a slight creature, quotes Wells, perhaps 4 feet high. He stuck to me as being a very beautiful and graceful creature, but indescribably frail. His flushed face reminded me of more beautiful kind of consumptive, seductive beauty of which we used to hear so much. Unquote. Morlocks are described as dull, white monsters with grayish red eyes and that runs on fours with their forearms very low. They look crossbred between a monkey and a human spider. The novel is thus about a perennial struggle between the center and the periphery, the story of the select few who control and those who are controlled. Description of Lois poses a substantial question as it predicts a future where more interventions of machine and comfort, people's basic instinct to work would go down and they may become powerless without interventions. Lois are sensitive but delicate, and they even can't recognize fear or crisis. They are only afraid of dark, which can also mean uncertainty. Thus, indirectly, Wells predicts a future where there might be a very thin line of difference between utopian and dystopian world. While scientific advancement, improved healthcare system, and better amenities are essential, they should not make people complacent or dependent on these things. Also, indirectly, the novel throws caution in paying some attention to the underprivileged people also. See you in the next class. Thank you.